Dan Illman, Matt Birney are taking a look at race number 9 at Oaklawn Park on Rebel Stakes Saturday. It is the $350,000 Essex Handicap for older horses going a mile and a 16th. Before we get to the nuts and bolts analysis, let's take a look at this offer for DRF Bets members. First post bonus on the preps. Bet $25 to win on any one horse in race number 1 at Oaklawn on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus. Win or lose. DRF.com/preps is where you need to go for all of the details. Let's meet the field for the Essex Handicap. Big class dropper in here, Matt. That's the number 8. Giant Expectations, a millionaire, shipping in from Southern California for trainer Peter Urton. Now, this horse has not won a race since December of 2017, and while he beat Accelerate that day, he kind of got the candiest of trips on the lead. But this is a big class drop after facing the ill-fated Battle of Midway and McKinsey over a sloppy track at a distance that's too far for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that point to a horse like this. I'd be very, very surprised if he was 5-2 in this situation. My big concern is, you and I spoke about it a little bit before we came on. I've just always thought of him as a one-turn kind of horse, whether it's a mile, whether it's 7/8 of a mile, even 6 furlongs he's run respectable in the past. But this mile and a 16th is better than the mile and an 1/8, no question about it. I think he is the horse to beat in here at a short price. I still maintain, if he's not doing what I think he really wants to do, I'll take a shot against him.
A couple of 9-2 horses, co-second choices on the morning line, both trained by Steve Asmussen. We'll begin with the 2 Hence. I was stunned how far back Hence was last time out at Remington Park. It said 15 lengths. It felt like 25. He was completely out of the picture and then until they turned into the stretch, and then he split horses and rallied mildly through some traffic. All in all, a pretty decent effort considering that Harlan Punch, the runner-up, came back to win a stake with a 96, then ran second in a graded stake with a 95 buyer, and the third horse came back to earn a 92 buyer in his most recent start. The problem with Hence is that's his running style, it appears right now. He is completely pace dependent.
Completely void of any sort of early foot with the ability to stay within touch of the entire field. And unfortunately for him and a couple of these other horses that seem like they are true one-run closers, I just don't know that you're going to get the kind of barbecue on the front end that they're going to need to really accentuate that late kick. I could see Hence coming up and picking up pieces, but I'd be a little bit surprised, just given the pace situation or the potential one, for him to get the job done.
Now, while Hence likes to come from off the pace, the other Asmussen runner, the 7 Snapper Sinclair, likes to be up close. As we see from our Timeform US pace projector, they've got Snapper Sinclair out there on the lead, and he's done some good things on dirt in the past. Heck, he got beat a nose by Bravazzo in the Risen Star Stakes last year at 3, going a mile and a 16th. Then he kind of lost his way. I think it was a nice confidence booster last time out with an 88 buyer speed figure, but I'm not sure if he's going to make the lead in here. Chris and Dave, the 5, has some speed. There are some others, especially down towards the inside. The number 1, Dalmore, with a little bit of early lick. And I wouldn't be surprised if the 8 Giant Expectations is closer to the pace as well. So Snapper Sinclair, he's a nice, honest, consistent horse, but he might have to work a little harder than the pace projector has it.
I can see the 7 and the 8 taking up more sort of pace pressing situation as opposed to getting out there and really trying to cut out the fractions. Snapper Sinclair, I gave him a chance a few starts back down at the fairgrounds, and I keep going back to the idea that, to me, this is another horse that really, I think a mile is kind of his max, really. When you look at what he's done recently, he's 0 for 5 at this distance. Obviously, longer isn't any better for him. I wonder if he's another kind of horse. If you can eventually get him to a one-turn configuration, I think he'd be very interesting. I just, at a short number or a shorter number, I don't love him here.
Couple horses coming out of the Grade 3 Razorback Handicap back in the Essex, and like Hence, they are late runners. We'll begin with Rated R Superstar, the number 9, who was almost 80-1 in the Razorback, and he was buried down inside on the turn, far back turning into the stretch, and he came with a good run once he was clear in the lane. But again, for Rated R Superstar to rate the edge, he's going to need some pace.
He's going to need a lot of pace in here. And again, the other thing, too, we've spoken about it in the past. When you have a one-run closer, wouldn't you rather have the horse that you truly believe is the best of the closers? And I'm not totally convinced that he is.
Maybe it's Sonneteer, who, although he's 2 for 23 lifetime and has never won a race on a fast dirt surface, he does seem to like the life at Oaklawn Park, winning the 5th season during the 2018 meeting and having trouble last time out in the Razorback. This is his second start of the form cycle, and Keith DeZormo, one of those guys, very shrewd and does well at Oaklawn.
It seems like the weather's supposed to be nice down at Oaklawn on Saturday afternoon. So for me, he's nothing more than an underneath type. But at the end of the day, you are looking at 9 times from 23 starts, a minor award winner. I think he can round out some things.
It's possible Joe Sharp has turned the number 6 heavy roller's career around. 2 starts for Sharp, he's won both. Last time out with a 99 Beyer speed figure at Oaklawn. Now, I'm going to have to see that race again. I respect Sharp. I respect that Beyer speed figure. He got a great trip. He was sitting just in behind the speeds, and with 3 furlongs to go, Jockey Cabrera saw the rail open up and said, well, I'll just go for it. And he took it and he went right on his way. I also need to see him do it on a fast track.
That was the big thing for me, the fast track. I see those 2 races. I'm not denying that he has taken a step forward, seemingly, for Joe Sharp, but they both came over sealed tracks, both of them with moisture. To me, this is a situation where show me that you can do that on a fast main track.
But this might be the right field to jump back into stakes company because we don't really have a standout, perhaps other than the class-dropping Giant Expectations, who has not won a race since the end of 2017. Dalmore down towards the inside. I think we're going to see some speed from this 6-year-old. He showed some speed last time out in the San Pasquale. He was in against Giant Expectations. He caught a wet track. I don't think he likes it. The Sunshine Millions Classic was a solid enough performance. From a class perspective, he fits. I think David Cohen's going to send him.
I was going to say, down on the inside, send, see how far you can take this field. If you have questions about the quality or distance concerns of some of the other runners, you know what? The best asset that you have is your speed. Make them make a decision. If they really want to go, and perhaps it ends up sapping some of that energy late, you know the distance isn't an issue for Dalmore.
Nanush had a 3-race win streak snapped in that Razorback handicap last time. I was a little disappointed that he didn't fire for trainer Robertino Diodoro. I thought maybe he was a sleeper in that race that could sneak into the exotics behind Todd Pletcher's Coal Front. Maybe worth noting that he added front wraps that day.
Yeah, I kind of expected a decent enough effort because he's fired fresh in the past, and the fact that he came up as empty as he did, I initially wanted to make a case for him because those 2 94s that he earned in each of the 2 and 3 starts back, those obviously fit in here nicely. It was such a poor performance in the Razorback. Maybe I'll regret not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's just not for me.
Taking a look at our top selection, I have to admit I'm stunned that we both landed on the same 15-to-1 shot. That's the number 5, Chris and Dave, claimed away from Diodoro for $45,000 2 starts back. He responded with a really nice win last time out against weaker starter allowance foes. He likes a wet track. His last 3 wins have come on wet tracks. He got that situation last time out. He got a little bit drifty in the lane. That is him. It has cost him sometimes in the past, but this is a horse that does have some back numbers. Few and far between, but some that indicate he can win this race. And like you, I think he'll be in a position to win it turning into the stretch.
Yeah, this is the kind of instance, and I would encourage handicappers to look at races in certain ways. If you look at a race like this, like I do, where I say I don't love anyone simply for a number of reasons, whether it's distance, whether it's class, running style, whatever it may be, I think that's when you need to start looking a little bit outside the box and try to create a reason for a horse like this where, okay, first off the claim, he actually went out there from a time form standpoint. That number's fast enough to win in here, the raw 118. Running style wise, he has versatility where he doesn't need to have the lead. I think he sits just off of Dalmore, and I think those other 2 horses, Snapper Sinclair and Giant Expectations, they think that they're better than a horse like Chris and Dave. And you're right, he got a little bit sort of drifty leaning in down the lane, but his ears were up, and it just makes me think he's kind of lost focus out there. You know what, at 15-to-1, I think he has as good a chance as anyone else in here. And again, from a value standpoint, I would just rather take a shot with a horse like this than take a shot with a horse at a third of the price or even lower.
And while he has run his best races arguably on a wet track, he does have that 95 Beyer at this distance at Belmont, where he ran a good race against Patch and finished ahead of Mr. Buff, who has just been a revelation over the winter for trainer John Kimball. So he has that race on a fast track. I wanted a price in this race as well. I don't like the favorites, and again, I think he might be able to trip out. And again, only 1 for 8 at Oaklawn, but he's run some really bang-up seconds and thirds in those efforts. He likes this course. I'll go 5, 6, 8, 9. Give me numbers.
5, 7, 8, 2.
It's the $350,000 Essex Handicap. It's at Oaklawn Park on Saturday. It is a Derby prep race, which means you get a bonus if you bet on race number 1 at Oaklawn on Saturday. It's a first post bonus presented by DRF Bets. Bet $25 to win on 1 horse in race number 1. Get a $10 bonus, win or lose. DRF.com/preps is where you need to go for the details. Approximate post time for the Essex Handicap, 5:29 Central. Best of luck.